A very good evening, everybody, and such a pleasure to be back again. Uh, I was remembering the good old days when the risks that I could perceive were very different from what I see today. Some of you can associate this. When I started working, the salary I used to get is by check, and I had to go to bank to switch on, put the check and get cash by the cashier. So if I knew the cashier, it was like really luxurious. And after I got the cash, my fear started because the biggest fear in those days was pickpocketing. The cash would get pickpocketed, and if I go back, and if some of you who've been working then, you remember it used to happen. At least I had my pocket picked twice. So one day I was sitting with my team and talking to them as to I'm not seeing pickpocketing anymore. And then one of the young members of my team said, but Tapan, today the money is pickpocketed through your mobile. It's just pickpocketed through phishing. I said, that's interesting. But then do we have a cover? And then it says that we don't have a cyber cover which takes care of all this in the Indian market. I called my product team, and Sashi heads my product team and is the CTO of the company. I said, Sashi, we should have a cover like this. And Sashi said, yes, that's easy. Let's work on it and let's build it up. And then we realized that we went to the world market also. An individual retail cover at that one time was not to an extent that would be very clearly visible. Team sat down and bought the first Indian cyber retail cover to the customers here. And that is what we're going to talk about today. I have with me on my left Sashi Kumar, who's the CTO of the company. He has been with the company from the very beginning. So welcome, Sashi. And then on my right, I have a very interesting person, Arun. He's a blogger. He's among the first users of internet. In fact, I was talking to him. He said on 96, when the internet used to be connected through a phone and you had to do tick, 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 tick to get it done.
Yes.
And then from the time he is there. So I thought he's the best guy to be here with us, talking about cyber retail. So welcome.
Pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So, Sashi, now the idea started that risks have changed, while insurance companies are still selling policies which would be devised hundreds of years old, and they have not changed themselves to the level which is there. And then you and your team worked on this product. Could you talk a bit about the product, and then maybe I move to Arun and ask him a few questions about how does he see the risks in today's time.
I would spend a couple of minutes in the whatever is that hardship and the hassle we went through while designing this cover. As Tapan very clearly said that this cover is not available not only of course in India. This is the first time we have come out. When we started our efforts to design a cover for a retail customer, we realized that even globally also hardly one or two markets are there where this cover is just above me. So we got in touch with a lot of reinsurers, a lot of legal consultants, a lot of international global IT-focused companies. Then we realized that there are no shortcuts to develop this cover, and we have to work hard. We have to build this cover on our own from the experiences of the Indian customers. That is how the entire product team was glued to this cover, very unique, IT, and quite forward-looking. So a lot of iterations have happened. The regulator has supported a lot in this new initiative, and that is how this cover has come out in a very comprehensive way. So we also had very focused group discussions with various stakeholders to understand are there any missing links and other things. And after those focused discussions, in fact, we have strengthened with some sort of additional coverages like IT consultant and other things. In the course of the interaction, we would brief you on that as well. This is a unique cyber cover protecting an individual. So we know the typical jargon of we talk about the IT theft, we talk about the phishing, we talk about email spoofing, we talk about cyber extortion, social media exposure. So there are various contingencies and exigencies when you work or when your family members work on the web. So it is such a common thing that we interact and we transact in terms of the banking transactions and the payments, other things. We are quite exposed to that. So we built in all sort of exigencies which may be there as a part of this sort of an exposure, and we created this cover. So fundamentally, this covers like the financial loss that may be suffered by an individual policyholder, and that about we also try to building the legal costs and expenses that may arise as a part of the prosecution the policyholder wants to go against someone, and also the defense cost. If someone, a third party, tries to accuse us that the policyholder has something to do with it, and in order to defend himself, whatever the expenses that come out, that were those expenses were also covered. Apart from these basic coverages, then we also built in the cost that would be incurred by the policyholder to system restoration costs. And we also built in, we know that most of the Indians, we are still like, we are quite familiar, but we have to learn a lot. So we also built in the IT consultant expenses. And most importantly, we realized it as a part of the focus group discussions that when someone is a victim of a cyber attack, they may not know and they get confused and they get depressed and anxiety takes over them. So we also built in the cost towards a counselor while going through the hardship of the cyber attack. So we try to build in a cover which is very comprehensive, addressing all parts and all facets of an incident, and that is where it is.
Thank you, Saji. In fact, as father of daughters, I think from my perspective, I also like the cyber stalking cover that you put, on that basis. I think that is something interesting. Cyber stalking, they cover cyber extortion, along with the normal phishing malware that you heard about, identity theft. But before I take on your questions that you are going to ask, I am to request Arun, the internet experts, the blogger, the guy who has been there from the days of tick, 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 and then going on to internet live. What is his view, and how does he see the risks on the internet, and how does he see a product like this?
You know what, I will tell you. I have been on internet for about 18, 19 years. Like I said, one of the early adopters. And the internet is fraught with risks. I don't want to, really scare you by saying this, but in India now, we are a country who has skipped PC revolution. We directly went to mobile. It's unlike any other country in the world, And on PCs, there are certain things you can do, but on mobile, on that small screen, there are a lot of things that can go wrong and will go wrong. And when I heard about cyber safe insurance, it was a very interesting thing because it is the first product which is taking care of things. I will give you my own example. I have social media accounts, I have YouTube channel, I have multiple blogs, and my biggest worry is that because there are so many followers that I have, what will happen if my password gets compromised, if someone takes over? What will happen in such a case? And I am sure every person today, about 90% of the people are on social media, either on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, wherever. They must be having blogs or YouTube channels. If they get compromised and they put something, how can this person, I being an expert, also have fallen to certain issues or problems earlier, and that was because of online frauds. I bought something on an e-commerce site, and the e-commerce site, the data was not properly stored, and because of which my credit card details got stolen, and then money got taken out from that particular card. So the problem is, when I said that problems are everywhere, the only thing is you have to be sure, know that what are the things you need to be safe. But even after that, you can't be safe 100%, and that's where the insurance comes in.
Perfect. A person like an expert like you could have fallen for this, then
yes.
Then I think for a commoner like me, I can be ripped apart. But when I heard him of everything on mobile, I just remember that in earlier times, I knew how much money my wife is carrying and my daughters are carrying, how much they can shop. In today's time, I have no clue. Yeah, that is still okay. If they are shopping and goods is reaching them, it's fine. But if they're not shopping and somebody else uses the car, which or something goes wrong and then the money gets billed, then there can be a problem. But I think how times have changed. I think when I talked to you, I still remember the good old days. Yeah. So let's have the questions rolling, and let's try and see if you can answer some questions that you have and some risk or some query that you have. So I'll take the first one, which is very interesting. It says that is it necessary that the computer system used by the insured should be in his or her own name? This is interesting because my kids use my mobile at times to buy stuff, and I remember my daughters bought the first policies. Now, will you pay the claim, Shashi, if this happens, or you will not pay the claim?
Yeah, fundamentally, this policy goes with that individual. It is not that device specific. Any device can be used. It can be part of the family, or in fact, if you are working at your workplace, even the official device also can be used. But the most interesting part is this goes with the individual and this goes with his personal data and personal loss. So from that perspective, if you want to cover all the individuals you wanted to cover, you can buy that for individually right now, but it is not device specific.
Oh, good. That must be giving a lot of relief around because you would have so many devices there. You're working all across.
Absolutely, absolutely. It does. That's what when I read all the 10 covers that you give, I said the first thing came to my mind is before leaving this office, I'm going to buy and go. The reason being, I have about 12 different social media accounts. I have various devices. A lot of devices come to me for reviews, and I put my login name and passwords in there, and someone else uses it, and something goes wrong. Then what? It becomes difficult. But with this, because it is tied to me and not to the device, it really makes sense. Yeah.
No, this is pretty good. So there's one more question from Priyal on Facebook, Sashi.
Yeah.
If my friend, and this is very for Arun also, because he is a celebrity blogger, my friend creates a fake profile using photos that are uploaded on my social media profile, will you cover that on the policy? Yeah, and see, it's again very interesting for you also.
Yes,
Yeah?
absolutely.
Yeah, that's really interesting. What we cover under the social media cover, so your profile has been created in a fake manner, and you are subjected to a lot of hardship. So what we provide the cover under this is like you can actually sue. In this case, your friend, unfortunately, so you can go against him or her, and you can make them accountable. So we, through this coverage, we provide you whatever is the consultation you require, guidance you require when you are ending up with a situation like this. Your own friend is ditching you from behind, so you will be blind and you don't know what to do. So that's the time when our counselor and our teams, our expert teams would help you out in providing the right direction and what are the formalities that are required in terms of launching a formal complaint with the cyber police or the normal authorities, and all that stuff we will do. Not only that, what are expenses and the cost we incur as a part of this journey, that is also covered. So that's the coverage we provide in social media. Be it a friend or be it a anonymous person who will be trying to fake your details.
Arun, do you see it as a big risk for yourself? Because I think for you it's a big risk. Like somebody takes your profile, creates a false profile, and starts sending messages which defames you or puts you in a bad light in whatever opinions you have.
And that's what I said when I read that media cover that you have. Especially when I read that, that was biggest thing. What happens is we already have about 10, 15, 20, 50,000 followers on a certain thing. And if one wrong message goes, imagine the kind that message gets broadcasted to so many thousands of people. And if that happens, then it is disaster for us, serious disaster. Now, the good thing is that we have a backup. Till now, the only thing that I could do was make sure that I guard all the passwords properly, and I'm going to do it even going forward. But there is a plan B now with this insurance, so that's a good.
That again, really interesting question because Vidya Sinde has asked this question. But let me ask you, a person like you who is so particular and you're into this profession, do you also use this public Wi-Fi sometimes?
I have to. Let's say I'm going to an airport and I have to send an urgent email. I have to use it. I mean, I don't have an option. Let's say I am at an airport where my SIM does not work. I have to use because my work will stop otherwise. So, see, you can take certain safeguards, but you can use VPN or you can use. But even after that, there are certain risks that we are exposed to, and we take calculated risks, so to say.
Yeah, because the layman I heard that if you use the public Wi-Fi, whatever protection you're doing on your database and protection, that gets exposed. And now that is a vulnerable area, Mr. Shrikumar. What do you think? Will you pay a claim if somebody uses public Wi-Fi and things go wrong? No?
We did debate a lot while structuring our product on this aspect. I think most of us knew that this is unavoidable evil. So because we are 24/7 on the work and we have to use our devices for communication. So the only catch here is the public Wi-Fi. By using the public Wi-Fi, if something goes wrong, if any exigency comes up, we do cover that. There is no issue and no problem. But the catch is that the coverage is provided to the extent of your personal devices. So there are two types of using Wi-Fi at airport. You have public devices available, like the PCs and other things. You can get into those computers, and then you can use them for your transactions, be it banking or be it other purposes. So those devices are not covered. As long as you are using the public Wi-Fi and you are using your own mobile device or your own PC or your own iPad, and if something goes wrong, that is fully covered.
Yeah, that's a very important point. I think why would you do a cash transaction on a public kind of computer kept? I think on your mobile, if you do it, it's covered. That's what you're saying, yeah?
Yeah.
So that's pretty good. I think I go with that. There's a question for you, Arun, from Ina in Facebook. She says that this for Arun, have you ever been exposed to a cyber attack? Oh, that's an interesting question.
Many times. Yes, I have been, but I have had safeguards online at least. We have lots of DDoS attacks. These are technical terms, but yes, cyber attacks have taken place, and luckily I have been able to fend them off till now. But I am always worried that I might go wrong, because my passwords. What happens? I have a team, and they manage my accounts. And if something from my hand it goes to them, I trust them, but I don't trust all the other people out there. So yes, I have been had the cyber attacks. Till now, I have been able to fend them off, but going forward, I am still worried.
Yeah, I remember my father. He uses the internet a lot. It was easier for him to book things, and he just lost 10,000 rupees because that was the upper limit that he had on a Bank of Baroda card, which was supposed to handle foreign transactions.
Yeah.
So it happens to everybody, anybody. And when I think that it will not happen to me, I remember my pickpocketing days. My pocket got picked twice also with all my precautions I took. So I don't think you can ever be overconfident. And when I hear news that Pentagon has got hacked or this has got hacked, then I think that this can happen to anybody. Let's move to the next one. Harsh has asked a question, which is very interesting. He says that and from Facebook, if someone hacked into my system, got access to my banking passwords, etc., and use it to make transactions, but the person is not caught, will my financial loss be covered under the policy?
Harsh, it is a very interesting question, and precisely like this is at the core of the policy what we designed. So whatever the financial loss that happens because of the hacking of your computer and the passwords being stolen and used separately, and we may not catch the guy, we have our expert teams who would do the forensic, and they will be able to establish that the system has been hacked, has been compromised, and the passwords have been open. So absolutely, the financial loss, whatever you suffer as a part of the cyber attack and loss of the passwords, that is payable under this policy.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You have heard about ransomware, right? Ransomware last year, 2017, is very big. Now, a lot of times what happens is you really don't know. Someone files a claim, he's taken the insurance, and he's falsely filed a claim. My ransomware, he will just say I had to pay so much of amount. How do you take care of such a situation? I'm sorry, this is out of the...
No, it's actually very interesting, because I think you're a cyber expert and he'll talk about it. I was amazed to see some experts. So I asked them questions, how would we know the claim is genuine, not genuine?
Yes.
And when I saw the experts, and I'll leave it to Sashi now to answer this question, I was amazed in terms of what can they do moment something like this happens.
Arun, the good news is that we did address this exigency as well.
Mm-hmm.
So this aspect is also covered as a part of the 10 insured clauses.
Mm-hmm.
So that is what is the cyber extortion, what we mentioned.
Yes.
So what we do in the case of a cyber extortion, so our security and expert teams would work in close coordination with the affected party, and what are the expenses and the costs that are incurred in order to mitigate the extortion loss, including the payment to the extortionist is covered under the
That's right. What he's saying is somebody lodges a false claim.
Yes,
how will he catch that?
See, when we are working closely with the customer, and our forensic team also will be there, we will be able to track that.
So what I saw was, when the expert showed me, they trace for everything that you do on the internet.
Yes.
Your footsteps are there everywhere.
Yes, there is.
And in fact, he took my mobile, and then after that, I felt that he knows everything. In the past 10 years, where I've gone, he could tell me. He asked me a date and said, "Tell me, I tell you where were you."
Okay. So you have an expert
Exactly,
of
yes.
forensics and people who are expert in this,
Yes.
and they will find out whether it is genuine or not,
Exactly.
and then you will go
Yes.
ahead with the claim.
And it is so easy. They just ask access and they can look at your system. They don't have to come to your house also.
Absolutely.
So sitting from far, they get full access, they give you full information
Yes.
of where or what has happened. I think there's one question which is interesting, and Arun, you can also talk about it. So it's from Aarti Jetka and from Twitter. She says, "What should someone do if someone stalks them on social media?" Now you are a celebrity yourself. Do you find this an issue, extortion, stalking, something which really fears you? From a girl perspective, yes, this is something again which is there. After listening to you, I'll ask Sashi that what should Aarti do if she has your policy and somebody is stalking her? But you hold on, before I hear from Arun, then I come to you.
To be honest, as a male myself, yes, I have been stalked, but I have just been, I've ignored them. The reason being, I have been on internet for 16 years and I know what is the length, how much people can do and what they can do. So I am not afraid. But for a lot of people, first time who come on internet, there are millions of people who are coming on internet, especially in India. In last 1 or 2 years, millions of them. And we are the fastest growing country as far as the internet penetration or internet usage is going. For them, it is definitely a worry.
Yeah.
For me, it is not, but for people who are coming, who are new, for them.
And secondly, do you think of a situation around this is a young lady, and poor lady, stalking is happening. She's mentally getting pressurized.
Yes.
She's worried of all the crimes that happen
Yes.
outside, and she does not know where to go now. Under that circumstances, Shashi, how would you as her insurer come into play?
Shashi, one more just to add to this.
Yeah.
What happens when there's something like a morphing? It happens quite a lot nowadays. You morph a picture, someone's body, someone's face, and you put it across on the social media. It is kind of stalking itself. Someone is not happy with someone, and immediately they want to defame them, and that's why they do something like this. So what happens in such a case?
See, this is an important threat that is happening on the cyber world. I think most of the young girls are exposed to this, the repeated electronic communication, continuously 24/7 harassing them,
Yes.
putting them in a corner. So this is a situation. See, what the policy covers essentially is if the victim is able to identify the third party, or if the victim has a suspicion who is this third party. Okay, we will be able to support them in terms of the guiding them through the process, and we also financially support in terms of the legal costs and the expenses. And not only that, our expert team on the back end, who are the experts in terms of the cyber tracking, and they will be able to help the victim or trying to identify the likely violator as well.
No, and I strongly recommend. We spoke to the police commissioner also, and I strongly recommend that cases should be filed.
Yeah.
And the company is supporting them because this has to stop. The society has to be a place where people can live without fear.
Yes.
And they can know. So any such instance, I think that's why I love this part of the cover. Any such instance which is not very conducive for environment to live freely. I think the company's cover is taking care of it. So from that point of view,
Luckily, what I have seen. Sorry.
I just want to add one more point to this, because when we talk about the cyber stalking, the harassed victim normally is in a state of shock.
Yes.
So they are highly depressed. So what we try to provide the cover is within the policy is what are the expenses they incur in terms of the psychiatric, the psychologist, and even the counselor charges. We will be providing them the support in terms of this.
That was one of my questions. What happens when emotional, you can't do financial losses? Yes, you can take care, but what about emotional? So you said counseling.
Yeah, so in this we look at right from helping support with the police, the legal cost, the counseling cost. So it's like a complete taking care of the person. Because our objective was, we thought of this particular part was that we should create the deterrent also.
Yes.
So one is that financial loss happens with a phishing malware, you pay. Now the easier part. A lot of other things happen on the internet.
Yeah.
How do we address that?
Yeah.
How do we as a company provide deterrent which makes society a safer place to stay?
And you know what I have seen, and I want to say this, that I have seen in last couple of years, even our government organizations are being sensitized about this digital online safety, and it's percolating down. I'm slowly seeing even our police walas, even the lowest havaldar jo hota hai, he also understands how important it is, and these are getting sensitized from the top, which I think is a good thing. And even the first time people who come on internet, who are on social media, should understand that government is there to help you. These government organizations are there to help you. You just need to go there and make sure that you are open up.
But we should not tolerate any such kind of stalking. We should not tolerate extortion, and buy a policy by the against. Yes, but coming back again, the other interesting cover, Arun, which you know very. When I saw this cover with the team, it was very interesting. So, cyber extortion. One is something like you saw where they lock in your computer and they do so.
Yeah.
The other is also that if they get you in a position in which they can take some picture of yours
Yeah.
and then they put it on and they extort you. Now that's a big risk also, yeah.
That
Because
is-
now anybody can access your phone, they can access
is-
anything, they can access other stuff.
That is
Yeah.
absolutely. This is especially not good for me, but for celebrities who who are known names. For them, it is because just going out, catching them in a situation where they are not aware,
Yeah.
but the photographer catches and then puts it.
Extortion happens, yes.
Extortion happens. Otherwise, I'm going to put it. Things like that. So, is there?
Will you take care of this, Sachin?
Essentially, when we talk about the cyber extortion, that has something to do with the systems you have. So essentially, someone would be trying to stop you access your own systems, your own data, your own information. So that is what is the essentially cyber extortion. But when we come to the exactly what you suggested, someone's picture has been morphed and it is
Yeah.
that is can be covered in terms of the cyber stalking. If that is coming onto the digital world, if it is not on the digital world, if it is on the electronic or the print, obviously it is not covered here. So they have to look for some other solution.
So what if a celebrity does not know who is doing it? I know, I mean, you have told me earlier as well, we need to know and your team will find out. But I'm just thinking, I'm sorry, this is again out of the script, but what happens if, I am not able to know, I don't know who the person is who is stalking me or who is, putting my pictures or extorting me. What happens in that time?
As I said, I think some time back, when we structured this cover, it is not necessarily purely from the perspective of the financial loss or the legal costs and everything. We realized that most of us, including the celebrities, may not be aware of the actions they need to initiate after such an attack.
So you'll help them with.
We would help them out. We would guide them through the
So that is
process.
an important thing
Yeah,
as well.
that's pretty really brought this out because if I look at the cost of the policy, Shashi, correct me wrong, for a 1 lakh cover, you're just charging close to 700 rupees, yeah, for the year, yeah. Now, I think if you have that cover, I think you need to take the basic cover. Anything going wrong, you have expert advice and you're the best lawyers and they'll be helping you through, no? So I think that itself is a huge.
99% people
Yeah.
do not know what to do
Exactly.
when I'm in such a situation.
Yeah, because I never thought of buying a policy just to figure out what to do. But at this cost, even that sounds very interesting, yeah? Though the policy has so many covers, I think this brings a very different aspect. So thank you, Varun. Thank you for doing this. Now I have a question from Adi in the Twitter, and it's interesting. What is the counseling and IT consultant extension that you're talking about? No, all this while.
The counseling charges, I think we did the little bit on that already. So essentially what we try to do is when the victim is in a state of shock, we try to provide sort of counseling services through maybe a psychologist or maybe a psychiatrist or maybe a professional counselor. So those are the charges that are covered under that. When it comes to the IT consultant cost, essentially if the client is not in a position to establish the loss, that the device has become blind, it is not responding, that the screen has been dark, so there is nothing you can do. So that our expert team would guide them to a 90 consultant very close by in the neighborhood, and who would be able to help them to revive the device, and then to establish that the whatever is the claim that is admissible under the policy is clearly established. So essentially, the IT consultant is someone whom the insured or the policyholder can approach and see that it is activated and it is connected with our experts so that the claim can be taken forward.
Good. Now, I think it's pretty interesting. The amount of questions are coming through. It shows people want to have a cover like this. Now, this is again interesting. What is email spoofing, and how do I recognize whether it's an electronic mail? It's from Babu Beg in Twitter. Yeah. You want to take that?
So spoofing, phishing, these overlap, all of these. I will just tell you 3 or 4 things that you need to do to be safe. I mean, these are the precautions. Precaution is always better. So the first thing is, if you have an email from an unknown person and there is a link in it, 99% chances that is going to land you in trouble. Either it is a phishing or spoofing, things like that. It might be a malware. You click on the link, you go, they'll ask you something to download or ask you for your username, password, things like that. First thing is, do not click anything. The second biggest, in fact, in India, the biggest way people's privacy gets compromised is because of clicking on WhatsApp links. Yes, you get those messages. Turn your WhatsApp into blue color, yellow color, red color, and then they have a link. They show that link is whatsapp.com, but it's actually whatsapp-co.m. So they just make small changes in the URL, and people think, it's an official URL. That's why they click and go, and then they are asked to download something, they are asked to enter something, or they are asked to click something, and that is where the problem happens. As soon as you download something, you click on something, you have an issue. You might have got those emails. You have won this huge lottery. I mean, that is there. Everyone gets that email, and still these first time people who come on internet, they get an email, they'll click, I have won $50,000. Let me click and see, and then they get trapped. So first thing, if you want to stay away or if you want to take precautions, make sure you do not click on any links that you don't know. Don't open the emails from, if you think it is suspicious, it is nearly 100% time it is suspicious. Do not go there. So that's what I can say.
That's very interesting, because I was doing all this for my mail, but on my WhatsApp, clicking randomly whatever is to come. I never thought so. This is so interesting. All this spoofing, malware, I was so careful on my emails. If I didn't realize, I would just delete it. I would not click anything. On WhatsApp, randomly I'm clicking everything. So in a way, I'm being like, how do you say, penny wise, pound foolish, yeah? So, thank you.
Such an important thing is WhatsApp, because there are literally billions of people, and in India, in fact, 9 out of 10 people use WhatsApp, and those groups are there where continuous forwards happen. We just blindly click, and that should not happen. You have to be careful. There are a lot of advantages of being online, but there are disadvantages that you need to guard yourself against, and this is one of the most important things.
Yes.
This clicking on unknown links. Do not do it.
Good. Thank you. Because of you, now I'm more safe. Yeah? But I still have a policy, so that will cover up. But still, why get into that?
Yeah.
And Pramod, you also had a similar question. What is malware attack? I think that Arun has answered that, and how can you protect yourself against that? So we take that. Madhu from Twitter has a question. Sashi, do you also cover ATM fraud in cyber safe insurance?
Essentially, this cyber safe insurance has been created, as I said some time back, for digital transactions and the communications and the complicated web world. So when we talk about the ATM transactions and the cloning, these are all the physical activities at the point of sale or maybe at the ATM end. So these things are not covered under the cyber safe policy.
Okay, can I ask one question?
Yeah, please, go ahead.
It's very interesting.
It's fun. Yeah,
It's
good that you.
So what happens, because there are a lot of scenarios that are popping up in my mind when this discussion is going on. What happens if I use, I don't swipe my card, but my card gets used somewhere outside of the country, China, Poland, all these Eastern European countries where it is very famous, and they use my card online to buy something. And suddenly, and this is a real fact, my friend suffered this, about 80,000 rupees he lost. So what happens in this case? Wherein I have not swiped my card, I don't even use that card, but it is connected to my bank account, and someone online somewhere has used my card.
Fundamentally, like the cyber safe insurance excludes the cloning of the.
And there's an issue. So what will happen, Arun, is now if you have used your card on the mobile to buy something, and that is where the data got stolen.
Yes.
And then it got purchased, you are covered.
Yes. So I must have used it on Flipkart or my Flipkart or this thing.
And then it is covered. Now you use it, let's say buying on a retail shop where it is swiped on that machine, that POS machine, that gets skimmed.
Okay.
Then it's not covered. So what Shashi is saying, we look at.
How will you know that?
Yeah, that is what the expert showed me. That's why I also asked the same question. No, Arun, when they told me, I said, how will you differentiate? And they said, okay, I'll show you where all you have to use your card. You have to meet one of the experts. And then they know exactly when your card got compromised also from your system.
They know all the transactions.
They
can track it.
They can track exactly when it happened. So that they can figure out that when did your card number got compromised on which transaction. Up to that level, yeah. So it's very interesting, when you see that now. So issue here is anything on your mobile. I think one of you have asked your question, Vikram. I think you have asked this question that if I have a laptop and a mobile phone which I use for online shopping, will I have to take separate policies? No. I think Sashi cleared that. Laptop, mobile, you have to take the policy. Whatever devices you use, even if it's not yours, but you are using it, unless it's a private device, that's a separate issue, that's excluded. But if it's your friend's device, any device you use, that is covered. I think it's an amazing cover that Shashi and his team have developed on that basis. I'm myself very happy with this. Now, if I, again, this model we have covered, exclusion, I think we covered. One interesting exclusion I saw, Shashi, I think we should cover that. Now, I saw this question also, just 1 minute, let me see, where is it gone? Travelers. That's from Sunil from Facebook. I would be traveling out of India the next month. Will this insurance cover any fraud at my destination?
Yeah. This point has been again debated at length when we structured the product. See, but because of various limitations, legal as well as the regulatory, the compliance for this product is like this. The cyber attack can emanate from any part of the globe. So there is no limitation for the cyber attack, the origin for the cyber attack. But you are covered under this policy as long as your device which is affected or compromised is in India. So to answer the query, if you are carrying your mobile, obviously outside India, and there is a cyber attack, and if data is compromised, it is not covered. However, if your PC is left back at home, and obviously it was being used or it was on and it is accessible, and there is a cyber attack to your PC and some data was compromised and some financial loss happened, that is absolutely covered.
So do I understand, Sushi, that let's say if I'm using mobile right now, and I'm in India, and somebody steals it, and like you said, somebody in Eastern Europe, does a fraud, you pay for that. Only when I travel outside the country, and then I use my device when I'm outside the country, that part you are not covering.
Yes, that part.
But any kind of compromise, any kind of attack which I use in the country and that happens anywhere in the world, you're covering that.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that is a fair point. I think that's not because the legal hassle that may happen in international markets, you don't cover that right now.
One more question for you. So when I take the policy, what all things do I need to do? Do I need to tell you कि भाई मेरा इतना devices है, मेरा ये computer है, do I need to tell all these things, or how does that happen?
And how will it impact the claim if somebody misses it?
See, as I said, currently the policy is going with the individual. Though there are provisions to declare the personal devices you are using at home, but that is not binding. So obviously, like especially the mobile, electronic, and smart devices keep changing. So as the policy goes to the individual, and as long as the devices are the personal devices and the private devices, and not the publicly available common devices. Yeah, it is.
You know what? This is really great for people like me and all the users. But this is not good for you, because imagine I take the policy and tomorrow my wife's or someone, my relatives gets compromised. They fall to phishing or something like that. And I say, no, this is mine.
They will come to you, don't worry. The card they have to use your card also. And I'm sure that you'll not be giving your card to relatives to use on your mobile. Yeah, so
I'm just trying to catch it. Trying to catch to see if all the scenarios have been taken care of. But I think that's a good thing.
Yeah. On a serious note, actually, when we debated this exercise, we did debate how do we can control this. Again, we realized that through technology, they will be able to know where your footprints were when actually the device of your friend got compromised. So you might be using at the same time your own device somewhere else. So we will be able to link it up and we'll be able to demonstrate. Enough safeguards are there for us.
That means
we leave our digital footprints everywhere.
That's why I strongly suggest, I requested sometime back as well. So it is always good to buy a cover for everyone depending on the expert.
Exactly. That is the.
And it's not very expensive.
You'll be spending more than this on a daily basis and not just having a cup of tea. So I don't think it's there. But Sajay, I think Deepak has asked a very good question, which I think a lot of people want to know. He says that he's from Facebook. He says that how do I make a claim? How will Bajaj assist me in case of a claim? I think so.
Bajaj has always been a strong service provider, especially on the claims, and that is how we are where we are. As far as this product is concerned, we have created a high-tech electronic backbone in the backend. So when someone is affected, one of the policyholders affected from anywhere, he need to just make a call on our toll-free number. So what we do when the call lands with us and the claim or the discussion is about a cyber safe, then there is a script and we try to capture the base minimum data from him. So once the data is captured and then we will take the permission of the policyholder, and within the next 2 hours, the technical team, the expert team would get in touch with the policyholder. So that's the real discussion that happens. And the technical team, as I said, we are equipped with the latest technology. We will be able to resolve whatever the issues are. Essentially, as I said, there are 10 insuring clauses. So we will be able to extract the issue through interaction with the policyholder, what type of exigency that has arisen, and whether it is a genuine or not also with the help of the technology. And then if the claim is admissible, obviously the team would guide them through the process, what exactly they need to do the next step. Depending on the insuring clause, there are 10 different activities. Depending on the the particular clause that has triggered, a different line of advice will be there. That's the first line of contact. Suppose there could be situations where the customer or the policyholder may not be able to provide the screenshots to the expert team or access to his smart device. So what we do in such a situation, we would be able to guide them, help them out to reach out to the IT consultant. He would be able to make it 99.9% of the cases that the device can be made live and it can be accessed remotely by our expert team from the backend, and they diagnose the problem and then they guide them. The third exigency, suppose if the IT consultant also fails to revive and remote access was not able to establish with the device, then what we do is one of the technical guy would physically go to the customer wherever he is and would be able to see the device, take control of the device and guide the policyholder as to what he needs to do.
Thank you, Sajid. I have a lot of questions for you. So I'll lay them down 2, 3 together and then
please.
So like Shubham Kumar saying, Twitter says, I want to know more about kind of cyber attacks. So you can tell me how we should protect ourselves against them, one. Then I have from Akshay, can we sue the fake profile user and he or she will be accountable under cyber threat? How cyber safe this science you can take will help me in this. Then for Yogesh, for someone who's a blogger or a content creator, how will a media liability cover help? So I think you can take this one. I've covered this. Payal says, even after I put my Facebook profile in private mode, it is still open to cyber attack. I think so that is one thing which is there. And yeah. So I think I have a lot of questions on people are not, then we are Marwadi from Twitter. The question want to know the type of website I need to be cautious about.
Okay.
So yeah. So
Yeah.
what do you?
So first thing is this last question: what type of website should I be cautious about? The good thing is that Google now has said that all the websites should be HTTPS. When you see in the URL, if it is HTTP, that means it is not secure. Second thing, try to use Chrome browser when you are online. If a particular website is unsafe, Google marks it, tells you this website is not safe, please enter at your own risk. If something like that, a message comes before loading the website, that particular website is not safe, 100% not safe. You do not go there. You will either there is a malware hosted or those links are spammy links or things like that. So do not go there. So very soon, by June, July, you will start seeing most of the websites convert into HTTPS rather than HTTP. So any website that is HTTP may not necessarily be unsecure, but you have to be careful. And if it is a dangerous website, Chrome browser will tell you. So use a Chrome browser. That will be my first thing. Second, 2 questions that you asked: what kind of cyber attacks? There are many cyber attacks: phishing, spoofing, malware, identity theft. All these are different kinds of cyber attack, and everything, like we said, we have already discussed a few of them. Someone let's say I have a Twitter account, someone has taken over, got my password and he's using it. That is identity theft. Then phishing is you click on an email or a link in an email, and then you go to a site or a place which is unsafe and they ask you to download something. That is another issue. There are softwares that you download, you use this torrents and everything. Do not use that, or don't use softwares which are not from known. Like if you are downloading a Microsoft software, download it from Microsoft. Do not download it from any other website. So that is important. You have to take care of some basic precautions. There are hundreds of different kinds of cyber attacks. I said ransomware. Ransomware is something, when you download the software, you install it, a key generator or something like that, and along with that software comes this ransomware, and slowly within a day's time it takes over your entire system and locks it, and you cannot do anything. The best of security researchers cannot break ransomware, and what they do is you give us Bitcoin or money or things like that. They ask you for ransom, and until you don't give it, you can't do anything on your PC. It's dead. So only then they will give you the key once you pay the ransom, and then it will open. My point is, cyber attacks are of thousands of times. You have to be careful. Just take care of these basic precautions. Not clicking on links on email which you don't know, on WhatsApp. Not downloading softwares which probably are from unsure places, which are not safe places. Things like that. Do not do stuff like that. Even on your mobile. We are a mobile first country, like I said. Do not sideload apps. Apps meaning what happens is a lot of time you don't have apps which are on Google Play Store. I'm talking about Android. So what you do is you take a APK from outside and then put it on your mobile and then install it. A lot of times those are compromised apps, and that will create problems for you. So things like that, some basic etiquettes and precautions is what you need to take to guard yourself against it. And even after that, if you have an issue, insurance cover is always there.
Wow, Arun, the more I listen to you, the more I'm thankful I have a policy. What you said is basic etiquettes, I thought there's no etiquette. So I think that is amazing, and thank you all of my customers and future customers who are asking this question. It is enlightening me also to hear all this. So thank you for all your lovely questions which are coming through. Now, Sayed, let me ask some question from you. So I'm just seeing which all you have not covered. Nikhil has raised a very nice innocent question. I appreciate what he's saying. He says, I'm scared of using net banking. Will you cover any sort of theft of my login details and stealing of money it may result into? That's a scare of most of people I know, Sajji. I think
That's a very common.
That's a very common scare. What's your response to this?
There are two types of exposures or violations can happen. One, while doing the net banking, while using those passwords, and obviously there is compromise that someone has stolen your password and there is financial loss. Yes, that is obviously covered as a part of the cyber safety. The other part is at the banker's end. Your passwords and logins are obviously available, and if there is some compromise and some data has been stolen as a part of the big data, and your details have also gone, and you are put into some financial loss, not because of your device, not because of your usage, but because of the compromise that happened at the third party end. That's especially mostly for the banker. So in such case, yes, that the policy provides you the support to move legally against the bank for the appropriate recoveries.
One thing more from Abhishek, Sashi, and then I will get some right to us from you guys and close it because we have so many questions coming, but time is less. I think next time we do something, we should hold 4 or 5 hours, no? With 1 hour is too less. So this was from Abhishek, Sashi, for you.
Yeah.
Apart from legal expenses, can I also make a claim for restoration expenses, for example, formatting of my device?
Yeah, the policy provides for the restoration of the system costs and expenses, whatever you incur as a part of the cyber attack. Absolutely, that is covered.
So, Arun, some last words from you, and then I'll request Sashi, and then we try and
I have said everything I had to. I told you, that take care of these basic etiquettes of not clicking on things, not going to places which you don't know. Please be on places which are safe. And again, something you will say, okay, bhai, Facebook is good. I'm going to go on Facebook. Even Facebook, use strong passwords. Very important. So things like these, all these, and there are hundreds of these, but I've told you quite a few in last 1 hour. So just take care of that, and you will eliminate about 70 to 80% of your risks. But there are 20-30% of risk always there, and I think we'll have another session for that where we can go even more in depth. So be safe.
So
I think just listening to Arun, it's so clear that with the best of the precautions and best of the practices, you are protected to the extent of 80%. So you are still exposed by that 20%. That 20% exposure may lead to very major disaster. So that is where you can transfer the risk at a very nominal cost to the insurance company, and you may be surprised to hear that a cover for 1 crore of rupees costs just around 9,000 rupees
for a year.
for a year.
Yeah.
So absolutely affordable, and there's a need of the time. Please do buy the policy immediately.
I think one important thing when I hear Arun, he talks about that, yes, you can do this, but it still says an iota of no risk still remains and insurance should be there. I remember a very important discussion I had with one of the best heart surgeons of India, one of the best nutritionists in India, and one of the most best sports physiotherapists. And they were saying that we should do this, so that we'll not have an heart attack and we'll be living healthy. And I was sitting with them and I asked them one small question. I said, sir and ma'am, I shall do exactly what you have said. Will the three of you guarantee a heart attack? I promise you.
Yes.
I'm a very sincere guy and I will do what you say to the T. You write it down. If I deviate, the risk is mine. If I don't deviate, will you guarantee my family I'll not die of heart attack? And they said, we cannot. And then I realized that is why insurance is there. I think at times we underestimate a good insurance cover, and in the discussion it came out that if you have a good insurance cover, forget about the compensation, that's going to come. But at the moment when you require help and you don't know where to go, you have experts sitting there just a call away. They help you right from legal cases, putting things together, ensuring that the people troubling are off your back. They help you look at your system, they identify where the theft has happened. All that they do for a small sum of like less than 800 rupees or 700 rupees for a year for a lakh of rupees cover, or 8,000 rupees for a crore of cover. It is amazing. The two messages I want to give, and right now I get to see on the Twitter that this topic is trending. Thank you all for all the support which you are doing, and thank you for all the support. But be insured.
Be insured, yes.
Be safe. We are there. And don't underestimate the risk that is there. And my eyes were opened, Arun, because of you in terms of WhatsApp. I did not expect that. Which is the basic etiquettes, yes. And I thought I have no etiquettes on that. So thank you very much, Arun, for being with us. And I think it was really great having you here.
It was my pleasure. It was really my pleasure. It was fun talking. Yeah. It was not kind of talk, but it was just a chat, and I enjoyed it a lot.
That's what we do. We keep it always online transaction. But if the genuineness is not there, Arun, if it is not something you can respond to people and you do not know what you're doing, then work. And Shashi, I think thank you for making an amazing product and the first in the country, which is there. And I'm personally a proud owner of this policy. And I have learned a lot. I'll try to take all the best precautions. I'll look at HTTPS. I'll not click on WhatsApp. I think whatever you have said, it's been great. So thank you both, and thank you for watching, and thank you for making it a trend on the net. I think always make a big difference. And whatever we have not been able to answer, or whatever got missed, you can visit our website. You can send the queries. We shall personally answer all queries. Or on the Twitter, we shall answer your queries, which is there because we're there for you. Thank you very much for being there.
Thank you.